And welcome to our Conscious Leaders Circle, where we meet once a month to support each other through these epic and changing times to be more grounded, energized, and focused, and live a centered, connected, and conscious life. And today I'm excited to introduce our awesome, great conscious leader of our time, our guest speaker, Christine Marsh, who is going to be talking about trusting the universe. And this is such a powerful topic at this time as we go through this incredible paradigm shift in human evolution and human consciousness, where we're accessing more our intuition, our inner wisdom, and our spiritual connection. So let's introduce Christine. Christine Marsh is an internationally acclaimed facilitator whose innate healing wisdom transcends traditional business approaches, allowing her to transform conflict into harmony through her soul-guided SELF self model and flashpoint transformation methodology. This sounds amazing. Her spiritual intuition, cultivated since childhood without formal education, has made her a respected presence across continents, where she's recognized for her gift of revealing the deeper truths that connect rather than divide us. I mean, this is so important, especially in terms of world peace right now. Now an 84-year-old mature model embracing life's continuous journey, Christine embodies the timeless wisdom that transformation flows from authentic experience and remains possible at every stage of our spiritual evolution. So here's what Christine shared about a little bit of her experience trusting the universe. On December 18th, 2024, I took the conscious decision to abandon my established project management approach to living my life. Instead, I would embrace the freedom of a blank sheet of paper and trust the universe to fill the pages instead. The sense of freedom, having taken this life-changing decision, is invigorating. No preconceived limitations. Opportunities have arisen that I would not have envisioned, even in my wildest of dreams. So I am so excited to hear your wisdom, Christine, and your experiences and how we can live our life trusting the universe.
Well, I think you have one moment in time, that's it. And we spend too much time going backwards, wishing we had, should have, could have, and all the rest of it. And the future now is so unsettled. So I stopped planning and I took this very conscious decision. Okay, over to you, universe. There's got to be a plan. Each and every one of you listening today, you're here with a purpose. Now, that may be clear, or its day may still be a little bit muzzy, but don't kid yourself. You arrived knowing. You arrived in a state of knowing. And unfortunately, we got at us. We were got at, rather. And virtually from the beginning, I was a rebel because my father had ordered a son. And I was born in India in 1940, so the war was just kicking off, and I had to be registered very quickly if I wanted British citizenship. My mother was there with my elder sister. They'd come out to join my father, and he only had William Richard as a name. He was used to being obeyed, and I arrived. And he is quoted as saying, "I don't care what anyone calls it, I'm going to call it Bill." And he did. My mother did, my sister did. I have a family in Canada, stretching from Toronto over to Winnipeg, way over to Vancouver Island. And to my nephews and nieces, I'm Auntie Bill. So this is quite interesting to know how our future is shaped by the people's expectations. And at what stage in life you stand up and say, "Excuse me, but I am me." And this sort of awareness and the exploration of who you are is quite hard to shed those layers. Can anyone relate to that? Having been programmed, or expectations of what you should or shouldn't do, or shouldn't be. Have you had those experiences? Or have you been able to plow your own furrow, I don't know. But speak to me. Oh, you're all muted. Anyway, wave. We'll catch up as we go. But I think one thing that has happened, I've had a most fabulous life. I didn't know I couldn't, so I did it anyway. And please make a note of that. Other people's expectations we conform to. My teenage rebellion didn't come until I was 36. I had the unconventional upbringing for the first 7 years of my life, no formal education at all. So the brain was not split. Education has this dreadful segmentation of you either go down the scientific path or you go down the art path. We're not born like that. It really is imposed on us as children, I think. And that's been one of my big drum beats as we go through, is how do we go back to our holistic roots, really, and the entire us that makes us. So the story really was, at 36, I looked in the mirror. I'd had my unconventional first 7 years being in India. When we came back, they found I couldn't read. Now, whether it was verging on dyslexia or whatever, I was never diagnosed, but all I saw was black squiggles. And the teacher who got me to relate those black squiggles through curiosity to a noun, I think it's something they use in typology, the brown dog jumped over the red fox, something like that. You use every letter in the alphabet. And she got my curiosity. Oh, there's a dog here. Oh, there's a fox here. So we learnt nouns, doing something, jumping, adjectives. Verbs, adjectives. What color are they? Now, that curiosity is in a child and it gets drummed out of us. Uniform education wants you to conform. I did some work in one of the universities in Wales, and their exams were based on a professor's books. And they say that science progresses funeral by funeral. Can you relate to that? The guru, the person who has the judgment, whether you pass or you fail, governs our knowledge. Now, each and every one of you listening, you're rebels at heart. You've not conformed. You're finding your own way. And really, I think what's been fabulous for me, having met my husband when I was 17, we grew up together. Colin died very unexpectedly just before Christmas 2020. And I've taken the next 4 years really just trying to sort myself out. And those of you who've been through traumatic change will know that is not an easy process. And the key thing that helped me was to write a book. Now, Lydia, you've had that copy. Oh, there it is. How? Okay.
It's
And
amazing. It's amazing. Flashpoint transformation, life's choices, ready to jump or waiting to be pushed. I know
yeah,
all about that. I get pushed by
yeah,
the universe if I wait too long.
it won't have it. So really, change is inevitable. I love this quote. Change is inevitable. Stress is manageable. We're given energy to take action. And what's happened to us, we've been stripped of decision making. We're now being governed by what we can and can't do. And I'm just so heart sorry for the young generation who are having to really forfeit that freedom to explore in order to get tick boxes to pass exams, or they're not worth anything. That to me, the raw talent is really what I'm all about. So stress is manageable. It's an energy we're given, for goodness sake. But we're not supposed to go and bop somebody now or run away or whatever. We suffer it and we shut up and we suppress our natural gifts. And I think that's criminal. So stress is manageable, but what I love is misery is optional. And some people cultivate miserable people. Do you know them? Oh, isn't it dreadful today? Don't you realize how dreadful the world is? Oh, and you sit there and you dissipate. You cannot be positive and negative at the same time. You really can't. So we have to make a conscious decision of making our choices, and this is our life's choices. And really, when opportunities come, just do it. Just say yes. Don't worry whether you can or you can't. You learn as you go. Even Richard Branson said that. Just say yes. Take the opportunity and move from there. So age is something that fascinates me because you have this stereotyping I came from a retail background where you had best before dates, sell before dates, and you get to 50, and that is still embedded in a lot of companies' ethics, really, that you become partial sell by date. And I was in a very hostile takeover bid, and I was one of the 30 survivors. We went into the boardroom, and they had a stuffed eagle on the sideboard. And the joke was, yeah, that's what happens to our birds when they get 50. They get stuffed. Right? They're now obsolete. They have no life. So my mission is 50 plus, living life to the full. 84 to me doesn't mean anything. It's just a number. If you think of age as linear, you've got a problem. Life is not linear. We go round and round and round in the learning circle. Do you agree with that, Lydia?
100%. Christine, I'm getting chills through everything that you're saying. It is so powerful. You're such a great conscious leader of our time, and your message is meant to be shared worldwide. This is the time, for us to honor where we're at, who we are, and celebrate getting older as our empowerment, as our wisdom, and to break through those old stereotypes. I mean, what you were saying about the stuffed eagle, that is horrific. I mean, but that's a beautiful a real life illustration of the old paradigm that is being released. And you are a leader of the new paradigm. And everything that you're saying, I'm just getting chills. I mean, right from the time you were born, and how your identity was imposed on you, and you had no attachment to it later. You are living truly a limitless life. I mean, you're creating miracles in your own life. So thank you. This is so exciting. Anybody in the group have anything that you want to ask Christine at this point, or put anything in the chats?
Oh yeah. So I'm the mailman here.
You're welcome.
Martin, we need that.
Mailman. Okay. So I really appreciate my senior neighbor. He's from Ireland. He's I don't know, 80 something. And he has a wonderful spirit. He's a simple Irish guy, and his attitude is what shines to me.
Mhm.
And if there's somebody who's way in the extreme on the other end, he still invites them to play cards, and uh, they have poker games or something like that, for fun. And somehow he's able to be with them. I don't know how he does it. I can't wrap my head around it, but he's able to bridge the gap between him and the other, and create some sort of balance and have a poker game, for fun. And I don't know how he does it. I have a hard time with difficult people in town.
Yeah.
And like exactly you were saying, Christine, they're in the zone of negativity,
Yeah.
and that's their mantra, that's their speech, and when you just most people just let them go and just say whatever. But once in a while I hold them accountable. Hardly anybody does but me. I say, look, we're in a coffee shop here. Don't say that. Don't say this. Don't say this. Don't say that. And they're like in shock. And then they continue on. But like you said, if they're in a spiral and if they don't acknowledge it, they'll keep going in it. And my mindset is one way and theirs is the other way.
I think this
Anyway,
this respecting of the differences, I think 2024, 2025 have been massive sort out times. It's still going on. We are discarding what no longer serves us. It really is a big pruning. We do it to plants to keep them healthy. We cut out the dead wood. And I had 2-hour conversation with a very dear friend, and at the end I was drained. And all she'd done was look at what wasn't working in her life. And I'd sat there and I'd listened. And at the end, I said, I cannot afford this. I cannot afford this vampiring. I can't describe it any other way. It just leaves you in a state of thinking, oh, good heavens, is it that bad? Am I just being naive? Please, the spirit of the child, don't ever lose that. I've got some very famous quotes in my book. I just want to refer to a couple of them because I think they're important. Leonardo da Vinci is my hero, right? This word called polymath is this all-encompassing knowledge. Children come incomplete. They don't have this segment in their brains. We do that through education. You're either going down the science route or you're going down the art route. And this sort of polymath, here, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Now, that is my mantra for my business. I have no degrees. I don't have the padding. I haven't been to university, but I can run rings around someone who is theorizing because I've actually done it. And I think that practical knowledge of knowing the pain, coming through the other side, actually building your own portfolio of self-respect. Self-respect, please don't lose it. You know what you can do. You've got that inner driver. Don't let anybody put that spark out. Some people have nearly done that to me by challenging me, belittling me. Only you can put that armor around that spark and not let that be ignited or just not blown out, basically. So Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein's another hero. You know, he got these amazing people, and he's very much like me. He hated school, was not into that at all. He was a dreamer, he was an observer. And I've built my business because we moved after 7 years to England. They found I couldn't read. I went through pretty grotty times being teased by my cousins. They've never apologized. I'll get them one day. But basically, they put me through a pretty rough time because I wasn't conforming to proper education on that level. And Einstein did the same. He observed, and I have really come to finding my business, which used to be all-encompassing performance projects, improvements around the world. And this year I have simplified it. I'm facilitating situations. I'm speaking. I'm getting out there. I am actually writing. I've done my book, but I'm doing blogs. So I'm now getting into communication. But what he said, and I'd just like to read it if I may, the intellect has little to do on the road to discovery, right? There comes a time that there is a leap in consciousness. Now, that is a word that you use, being conscious. There is this leap. And certainly, call it intuition or what you will. The solution comes to you and you don't know how or why. How many can relate to that? Boof, suddenly you can relate to it. You can relate to it. You know, yeah, there's a sense of knowing. Please don't lose it. Trust yourselves. You know, people will try to get you to conform because it makes them feel comfortable. You're not here to make other people feel comfortable. You're here to prove who you are, what you can contribute. Certainly, Jonas Salk, who did the polio, he's become another inspiration to me. He's an American medical researcher. Do you know what he said? Please think, listen to this. Hope lies in dreams, in imagination, and the courage of those who dare to make dreams into reality. I mean, that is so powerful. Your dreams, it's nobody else. If you give it away, then you're a mug. I'm sorry, I lose patience with you. So get your act together, go back. A bit of self-respect doesn't hurt. And this latest research really on how our thoughts and the whole of our nervous system is a living organism. And certainly I have mentioned this, Lydia, share, please. It's the latest research. It was only published on the 17th of October this year. And it's a neurobiology of connection. rewilding your deep nervous system of well-being. And honestly, it's a life changer for me. It is the latest research that you're going to find. So this quest for continually learning, curiosity of the child, don't be fobbed off and don't allow other people's judgment. If you do a continuum of 100 people, you might find 5 who are with you and 5 who are against you, and the rest couldn't care less, to be honest. They're beating their own drum. So you've got this sort of span of self-interest in between. So you be at the top end and look after yourself on that level very much. I'm fascinated by the name that you've given your group, Lydia. Did you give a lot of thought to that conscious leader circle? How did you come up
Well,
with the name?
that's very interesting you asked that question, because it was a download many years ago, before I even thought of it, having a gathering. I was in something called Wellness Leadership Academy, and they had a Toronto event, and they were from wonderful group from Australia, and we were in the conference center around our tables, and we were had to talk about write something, one of the exercises that they gave us, and I couldn't think of the exercise. I just kept hearing conscious leader circle. And then one of the facilitators came around and said, have you thought about doing something called conscious leader circle?
Oh,
It was incredible.
yeah.
And I was just a completely empty vessel, right? I had no idea what it was about. And I just wrote it in my notebook, and I didn't use it for years.
Wow.
And then when the lockdowns happened, and I wanted to provide opportunity for my clients and tribe to connect, I thought, well, what am I going to call the gathering? And then Conscious Leader Circle came back. But that's a perfect example of complete download, right? Like no intellect, no intention, and it was meant to be used later. It was meant to be used later on. And that often happens in my life. I'll even in you know, like even intuitively I'll buy something, and I'll think, why am I buying that? But then 5 years later, it's right there. It's the perfect thing. It's like books on your bookshelf. If you ever gather books, I guess now there's more digital things, but then you can just go. When I was writing my master's thesis on global security and global climate change, a book like literally popped out of a bookshelf, like it moved. And then that, helped me form my master's thesis in my program, which then my advisors wanted me to do a PhD, but then I had dreams calling me to do healing work. But yes. So everything you're talking about, we are spiritual beings, and we will return to our spiritual roots, our spiritual homes, when we choose to leave our body. So cultivating that aspect of self, through intuition, through honoring of self, through celebrating life right for the entirety of our life. I'm so excited about being 60 and getting wiser and experiencing all that I have accomplished within myself. Like I always say, my greatest accomplishment is my inner healing and personal growth.
Yeah.
And when I was a child, I looked forward to 60 plus. So I'm so honored that you're here with us. You are, living it and leading the way for humanity to embrace getting older as getting better, as getting utilizing our wisdom and sharing it with more ease and flow. Don't you think, Christine? Do you feel you have more ease and flow in who you are?
I've never had the problem about that. I've always been simple. So I've never had any blockages. I don't see the hurdles. I have been a sales manager in a local company in treble sales, and one of the big national companies came to town, and I thought I could help you. So I wanted an appointment. Now, that was fortunate that the marketing director was a betting man, And I lived in Cheltenham, which has a very famous race course of hurdle jumps and whatnot. And he told me many years later, this old mare, excuse me, came to call. He was taking the young, bright fillies from university, as he put it. And this old mare turned up saying she could increase my sales. And when I asked her what her turnover was, we were doing 24 million and she was doing peanuts in comparison. But she said that the bases are the same. You know, we try to keep reinventing the wheel, but to be honest, we come back to core practices. And with the tiddly bits are the different areas that you're functioning in. But you've got to have sound foundations and a solid belief that you have something that you can offer. Not impose, but you can offer. And that's the gift that you want to give when you're going about it. So anyway, I nearly blew it when I asked for a company car. But you see, when you're negotiating, you have to tweak it. Now, this guide, I'd written, because I went to art college, so I love calligraphy in amongst all the rest of it. And I got some parchment paper, genuine. I had written in Old English text this sort of message that you can't manage without me. I just want 47 minutes of your time. Now, take that as a hint. If you want to hook somebody's attention, do something different. You know, everyone does the hour, quarter past, half past. 47? What's he want 47 for? And I got the interview purely out of curiosity to get this mad woman in, and she ended up with 3.5 months trial, a company car, and she was with us for 12.5 years, changing jobs every 2.5 years, because I'm a creator, I get bored. Once something's set up, I don't want to run it. I'm looking for the next thing that's actually happening on that basis there. But one thing I want you to make a note of, please, that has really helped me, if you've got a piece of paper, I would like you to write down SELF. Right, now you have to start with yourself. It's all very well, but I was with a lovely person the other day, and she is seeking more qualifications, more qualifications, more qualifications. She doesn't trust herself. She's looking for that endorsement externally rather than internally of saying, I'm worthy. This is myself. This is what I can offer, and taking pride in that. Certainly, the self model is, if you want to sort something, right? I don't work with companies on big projects now. I like to go in and troubleshoot and facilitate. You have to come up with a situation that you would like to progress in one sentence. Just one sentence. So I'll give you an example. I would like to be left alone in order to fulfill my function, to stop iteration, whatever. This was a guy who was about to be sacked because he was having tantrums. But one sentence only, you begin to look at the language and you separate the E from the L. So the E is the emotion. Now, we have a whole span of emotion from being upset to being furious. Would you agree? We can play that to whatever setting we want to, but we control that reaction. Nobody, and this is Eleanor Roosevelt, bless her, nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. That's something you give away, sunshines. You can't do that. If it's not true, tell them. So I shouldn't say get lost, but you know what I mean. I'm too much of a lady. But basically, just get out of my life, because I can't afford your negativity. So think about the emotions. This guy wrote down a whole range of his emotions, from frustration to anger to actually wanting to murder somebody. He was that so far out of his prime. He really was in a bad state. So you have your intensity of your emotion, and we're capable of playing that whole range and where we set it. Logic, right? Now that is hard, but the logic is facts only. When you go back and you look at that situation, emotion elaboration, shall we say, a bit of doctoring, you know, hype it up to, oh, isn't this absolutely dreadful, etc. Oh, isn't this blissful? And actually it isn't, you're kidding yourself. But the range of emotions, so logic is facts only. you've got to challenge assumptions. And that's really hard because what's that based on? Why is the assumption that you're 80, so you'll never get a modeling job? Well, I wasn't looking for a modeling job. Modeling jobs found me because they thought I was a bit weird. But I put myself out there. You know, she's doing something. She could be a role model for us. Not 50 plus, but 80 plus, because we're living longer and we've got so much to offer and to contribute, etc. So you've got to the logic, please challenge assumptions. They have been preset. It does not mean you have to conform to them. And then focus. The end really is where you get down to the detective work. And I say that's information not always readily available. I love that, having a snoot around and seeing what they haven't told me. Right. Now, only one is not an option. Only one is imposing your will or your decision. And that can be lonely because imposition doesn't win you allies. If you want to go alone, go alone. But everything that Lydia and you were talking about is collaboration. You know, the energy we generate when we come together is far superior to what I can possibly do by myself. So this harmony, this sort of binging, zinging ideas off each other, collaboration within a circle. The circle is really a very interesting concept. So when you look at your name and you look at circles, there's no beginning, no end. But the circle is a very strong symbol. So you're really looking at collaboration within a circle. All I'm saying is please be selective of who you communicate with, because they will zap you and life is too short. I'm sorry, we've got today as a present. Lydia had a life-threatening situation. You went into white light, Lydia.
Oh, yes, yes. I had in my cocoon of healing my chronic illnesses from birth, I had 2 near-death experiences, which I was actually recently approached to share the videos coming out on the new YouTube channel, Not the End, NDE. So I'm going to be sharing that. But yes, I've had many out-of-body spiritual experiences and 2 official near-death experiences where I went into the light. But yeah, I had a life review. So this is what really, when I 2 life reviews at 29. When I live my life now, everything that I think and do and act, I think, how will I feel about it when I observe my life, when I'm not Lydia anymore on the earth plane. And it's so enriching. It brings you into this empowered state that Christine is talking about. And wouldn't it be awesome to have Christine as our life coach? I think I want Christine talking to me every day.
Well, let me just tell you about my near-death experience then, please.
Yes, yes.
With my job, I mean, we had 2 small children. I couldn't have done it without my husband's help, but you were a team. You know, that's how it worked for us. He was one of the avant-garde husbands. I think he took a lot of stick from his friends back in the 70s for being this help. You know, the men did this, the women did that kind of thing. You had your predetermined role. And he'd been made redundant, so it wasn't a matter of sitting there and, you know, scrimping, get off your backside and get and do something kind of thing. It's always been my approach. Don't moan, do something. And what actually happened, as I say, this wonderful guy gave me this job and a company car, and every 2.5 years I reinvented what I wanted to do because I got bored. And I was put in charge of they said you couldn't do it. Please don't tell me what I can't do. Don't tell me I cannot personalize a training scheme for 4,997 people. Of course you can. You've got a payroll, haven't you? You've got a payroll that breaks it down into region, it breaks it down into area, it breaks it down into you. Just keep it simple. Go into a unit and then build a training scheme against that. So basically that was my major challenge. But it did mean a lot of driving because it was throughout the UK. And I can remember, they say most accidents happen within sort of a 7-mile radius of where you live. Have you heard of that? That, you know, whether you get casual or what it is, I don't know, but you're nearly home. And anyway, I'd overtaken this lorry, and coming down into Cheltenham, there's a steep hill, and it's called Six Ways at the top of the hill. And after 6:30, cars park. So you know, as you come around the corner, if the car or the lorry in front of you is braking, it's because something's coming the other way. Anyway, there was something coming. He braked. The lorry behind me's trailer brakes popped. And he had 20 ton of peat on board in his trailer, and he could not, the cab could not stop it. He knew he was going to kill somebody. So he came around with the horn blaring, the lights on. There's a Steven Spielberg film called The Duel. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but there's this big black truck that sort of spits and poof, poof, waits and then comes after you. That's what it felt like. Now, the police, and this is where you have to keep your mental capacity sharp. Don't blunt them, for goodness sake. Challenge yourself with something that you haven't done or you would like to do. Stretch yourself. Keep those mental things ticking, because it saved me. The police said you had 16 to 18 seconds to decide whether you lived or died. They couldn't believe that my process was, and this is what Lydia's talking, I saw an aeroplane. Now, don't ask me, I work with a lot of engineers, saw an aeroplane, looked in front of me, I was coming down rubber wheels. If an aeroplane can land on those little tiny rubber wheels, I had to get the last bit of my energy of my car onto that rubber wheel. And they said that's all that saved me, because I had multiple impacts because the trailer brakes had gone. Now, this thing is embedded in the boot. It's embedded in the back seat. Its bumper is up against the head roof. The driver's side has gone in. I had gone over the armrest, and I was being banged up and down. And as Lydia said, it went quiet, and it went white, and it went peaceful. And I thought, wow, isn't this lovely? And you start to drift. Now, what brought me back was my husband and my children. You're suddenly pinged back, and all hell's breaking loose. And they dragged me out the car. They thought I was a passenger because there was nothing left of the driver's side. And, you know, I'm looking down at the pavement. There's some red goo, which I realize has come from my face. And do you know what I thought? Oh, hell, I've laddered my tights. You know, the biggest thing that can happen in your life, sometimes it's a minute detail that brings you back to reality. Does that make sense, Lydia?
Yeah, absolutely. This is such huge insight. Has anybody here had any kind of metaphysical out-of-body experiences that changed your life, or dreams, anything like that that you'd like to share with us? No?
Sometimes it's very personal, and sometimes we dismiss what we've dealt with. But we're not very kind to ourselves sometimes for giving ourselves credit for what we have endured and what we've overcome. So that's just one of the things. So really my focus now is being open to the universe. And I took a conscious decision on the 18th of December to stop my project planning brain and have this empty diary with nothing in it. I can't tell you how hard, you might guess, that is going against everything that's had my foundation of my career, and trusting the universe. There's a plan for us. They're trying to help us, but if we don't open ourselves up, they can't. We have to ask. We have to be open to that opportunity. So what's come in? I get a call to say, we'd like you to come up and do a photo shoot. We think as a mature model, we could find you some work. Right, so the next thing, I'm up in a glamorous situation. I got the most beautiful portfolio, very talented photographer who can work wonders with the lens. So I'm very grateful for his majesty. But my first appointment wasn't actually being photographed. It was actually an acting. It was an acting opportunity to be a posh lady with dementia who had a cat, no, 2 cats, beg your pardon. And she was in bed, and they came in with a greeting like, "How are you today, beautiful Ruth?" And she's challenging that, who is Ruth? And she doesn't see herself as beautiful. And so many of us do not honor the inner beauty that we've got. Martin's talking about his love of flowers. You know, I mean, if you can just take that time out. I had 2 cataract operations and I hadn't realized how beautiful dandelions are. I mean, they are absolute Fibonacci code, you name it. The design of nature puts us to shame. We're morons. I'm sorry, nature's far cleverer than we are. We like to think we're superior, but we're not. We're on a learning curve. You get out in the forest, you sit by a tree, they're wiser than we are. That's my belief. Right, where do you want to go next, Sam?
Oh, this is phenomenal. I love some of the let's highlight some of the things you've been sharing. If anybody else has any great takeaways from the wisdom of Christine, the wisdom of the goddess is with us. You cannot be positive and negative at the same time. I love that. I absolutely love that. Don't moan, do something. I'm going to put that up. I'm going to actually put that over. I'm a positive person, but I can kind of moan.
Yeah.
What was this? Tell us again what is the S in SELF? What was, so E is emotions, L is logic, F is
Yeah.
facts, and what was the S?
F, self, is
S.
focus.
The essence.
SELF. So the S is situation in
Oh,
one
situation.
sentence. So
So situation, emotion, logic, facts. I love that.
yeah,
And I love being only one is not an option. That was another one of my awesome takeaways.
yeah.
And challenge yourself, and embrace. So if you could crystallize your 84 years of phenomenal wisdom, what comes to mind? What is a flash intuition? Your flash point. What is your flash intuition to
Never
share
take
with us?
the L plate off.
Sorry?
Never take the L plate off. Someone else is guiding you. You're in the driving seat. You've got decisions.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we're learning. I'm still learning. So I'm doing
Yeah.
modeling. What else has come up? This talking to you, a gentleman called Chris Grimes, LLP, has interviewed me. And that was fascinating. He has the analogy of a tree and squirrels. And it's just a very, very clever model. So that's going to go live next week with all the music. There's just a rough cut that was put out live, etc. So all, I'm basically saying to you is just look at the blank sheet of paper. Take a blank sheet of paper and don't be frightened of it. You don't have to fill it. Trust the universe. If you've got a purpose, you may have neglected it. It may have got buried. It may really have been decided by other people. They're not living your life. At the end of the day, you're here with a gift. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with that gift? Are you squandering it? Are you going to wake up at 84 thinking, oh, if only I had? Well, I went across Russia, went across Siberia, I went across the Altai Mountains, I went out to the Mongolian border, first of all with a group, and then I went back by myself with three things of Russian, niet, which is very important, said with passion, clear off, thank you and good day, and that was it. And a drawing pad and a pen and a smile, and ask for help. And there are beautiful souls out there. We have got so sophisticated with blocking our intuition up with logic and words and even study. I'm sorry, you can study yourself round into the ground. Oh, that's different. Oh, that's new. I certainly want to read this new thing, this new book, because he is challenging a lot of preconceptions of how the whole of our system is actually a communication system. It is fascinating. So I'm learning. Never, ever lose that. I don't know what's coming next. It's very hard for me because the diary's empty. apart from birthdays, it's empty. Go for it. Take a risk. What have you got to lose? Don't end up thinking, oh, if only I had, and you've left it too late. 84 is not too late, right? If I can keep going, I dislocated my knee and every thought, that'll shut her up. You know, hobbling around with a dislocated knee, recovering on a Zimmer frame. I thought, yeah, come on. Exercises, getting exercises to strengthen that knee up. Deciding that I was going to go on a tour of India with a walking stick if I needed one, but I was going, you weren't going to stop me. But I had 8 weeks of intensive getting myself fit. So you have a duty of care to yourself, please. Look in the mirror and don't forget duty of care. Self is you. You can't help others if you are screwed up, for the want of a better expression. And so many people hide behind coaching. I'll sort you, but I can't quite sort myself. Lydia, sorry, is that too harsh? But do you
No,
find
not at all. No, not at all. It's awesome. It's awesome. Sorry?
You find some pseudo coaches. I think COVID, there was a whole clutch of people. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll become a coach.
Yeah. They're trying.
I don't know what I don't know, but they're not looking in the mirror and actually confronting what they should be doing.
Well, we have to find our own deep relationship with ourselves, you know, is what you're saying. And in my journey, I had the biggest insight, you know, when I was chronically ill, like lying in bed and dying, and realizing no one else, and in that whole sort of critical time, I'm the only one experiencing my pain. I'm the only one experiencing my joy. I might be able to share my joy. We share who we are with the world. But there was that moment I had when I was coming back from the hospital. My parents were driving me. I was actually in a car, and the lights were going by on the 401. I was in the back seat of a car in the 401, and you know, kind of like, you know, passed out in pain. And I remember seeing all the lights go by, thinking, not in a negative way, but thinking life will go on without me. Not that I felt I was overly important, but that all they're going to be cars on the 401 highway, whether I'm here or not. So I have to honor myself and make my life as rich as possible from the inside out. And I can have guidance, and I need support, and I can learn, as you know, all of these things we're talking about. But it's really my experience with myself that makes me feel rich internally, and that allows me to be guided in the right direction. And so when we realize the impermanence of our identity in this lifetime, we embrace the eternal life, and know that I am preparing myself now for my next experience, you know, whether it's on this life or stay in the non-physical, and that how I treat myself now matters, right? It matters to me now and as a foundation for my future. So, yeah, I mean, if anyone is listening or watching who has a dream and has always felt called to pursue it, doesn't matter what your age is. And it doesn't matter the condition or the circumstance. I mean, it depends, obviously, functionally, some things that may want to work on or navigate with. But I always give the example of Anna Sewell. She wrote Black Beauty in the 1800s, and she was dying. She was bedridden, dying when she wrote that, and so she channeled it. And it has changed lives in the 1800s, and to this day for humans and horses. Legislation was changed in England for the buggy horses, because she followed that soul calling when she was dying in bed. So we can keep giving, we can keep creating, we can keep feeling enriched in any condition, in any circumstance, and see where it goes, right?
Right, what I'd like to do is just within the book, really, I've looked at the elements. So you have all the wonderful elements that we're
Yeah, the
surrounded
book
with.
here, it's awesome. I've been reading the quotes. As you guys know, I love quotes. And Christine has quotes for every chapter. The first one is focus. And Christine, you wanted to go through the book then, intuition. It's very simple. It's not it's magnificently simple. It's not too complicated that you're gonna fall asleep while reading it. Rekindle. I mean, it's just brilliant. So Christine, you wanted to share
Well,
about your book?
yeah, no, what I was just saying is, in order to bring light, sometimes we have to burn.
Yes.
Those of you that are looking for the cushy ride, you know, you weren't put on this planet for that. You were put here to experience, to learn, and to go through fire. That is transformational. And I think the thing that those are all the elements there, but fire is a transformational. And looking, my dear niece Christine and her husband Ian, they're out at the moment. They've had to be evacuated because of forest fires. They've got a place on the lake just outside of Winnipeg, and it's scary. They've had to be shipped out because they don't know which way the wind's going to go. You don't know what you're going to be left with. But just what I think about fire, if it's transformational, sometimes you have to burn in order to see light. You strike a match, you light a candle. There's action that's gone on. So don't be frightened of those dark places. But the thing I love the story is that sometimes in that blackened forest, when you think you've lost everything, and I did went to go through that when Colin died so unexpectedly, I didn't see any light at all. And there are certain seeds, please remember this, that lie dormant. And it takes that heat, that intense heat, for it to germinate. And that's a fact. So after that raging forest fire and that blackened, where you think, what on earth am I going to do now? You know, I've lost my mate. I can't keep the house. I've got everything's totally upside down. I've got to create a new life for myself. The seed that's germinated is Christine Marsh at 84 and beyond. So where's your seed? What have you got dormant sitting there? Don't be frightened of fire. It's transformational. And sometimes it destroys in order for something new to flourish. So I really don't be frightened of pain. It's part of being alive. It's the price we pay.
Well, it's what I'm just so moved. That is so powerful, Christine. Do you have a TED Talk?
A what?
A TED Talk? You know, those talks, they're called TED
It's
Talks.
it's on my to-do list. I've been rushing.
You have to be on stage. You've got to be on stage.
Well, I've spoken all around the world, but I've spoken at performance improvement all around America, Canada, India, South Africa, Europe, Middle East, you name it. But the key thing, it's all been performance-based talks. And I think the book really was a bit of a catharsis for me to actually face my fear, because writing was my fear. When I'm talking, I can watch your face to say, God, you're looking a bit problem there. You haven't quite got that. What, you thick, or am I a bad speaker? You know, you sort of think, well, can't you get it? You get a bit frustrated sometimes. But their experience doesn't relate to you. I haven't got a lot of patience, you may decide, you know, realize. Yeah, get it now, you know, life's running. What are you waiting for?
But I love your seed. I love your seed. We have a seed within us that's waiting to be germinated. And sometimes it takes something intense like fire. And this is the whole principle that the universe is always supporting you.
Yes.
Even in the most difficult moments of despair, we can turn lead into gold. We are creators. We are conscious leaders of our lives. And when we share that, we're conscious leaders of the world. And we have those seeds within us. There's that expression, I forget how it exactly goes. Develop yourself, honor yourself so that you're ready for your next assignment. You may not know what it is, right? And this is trusting the universe. This is living in that flow of trusting the universe, that growth is eternal, that life is infinite, and that we carry with us now what we create. There is no end, right? We just keep evolving from the physical to the non-physical, and embrace that journey of reclaiming sovereignty of ourselves. And as Christine said, that there are these seeds within us, and we don't, you know, we've been conditioned to fear pain, and we don't want to create pain unnecessarily. But I call the pain of regeneration is different from the pain of degeneration, right? And when we know the difference, when we're fully conscious that what I'm going through is supporting me, even though it's painful, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, I am regenerating that seed within me to expand into a higher and higher capacity. So thank you, Christine. Richard, you joined us. You just joined us. I can't hear you. We can't hear you. Oh, we can't hear Richard.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, yeah. So we have the 1 hour difference between you and me, and I confused it today. At noon your time, noon my time, all that stuff.
Well, yes. Well, you can catch the replay, but it was absolutely magnificent. Christine gave a phenomenal talk of honoring of self, and one of my favorite expressions, don't moan, do something. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put that up on my wall, and her SELF, situation, emotion, logic, and focus model. But does anybody have an insight, anything from Christine's talk that you want to share in the chats, or just a flash that you took away from today? I'm buzzing. I'm just buzzing. And I'm gonna have to have this talk playing when I decide to moan about it.
So I have something for Christine. I don't know if she wants to go on the airplane back to the UK, but I want you to be the spokesman for the Chelsea Garden Show.
Well, I'm in the UK, Martin, so
But to be there and to
yes,
open it, like I think you would be fantastic to
I would
open the
love that.
show.
I think to
Absolutely.
me that's what I'm looking for. I've got to get my voice heard. The shrinking violet. I've always worked under the radar. That's, we don't know what she does, but she sorts things. That is how I get all my work came from recommendation. I didn't have a website. People say, we were in a pickle or we had a challenge and we've blossomed. So this growth really fascinates me. And what I think is wrong when we don't nurture our youngsters and their growth is stunted. And I think when you look around gardens, say, since I've had my cataract operations, I'm forever stopping and think, oh, look at that. Fibonacci code or whatever you say it is, it's part of our life, for goodness sake. I want to be out there now. I've got 5 years shelf life according to the model agency. They said, we'll keep you going till you're 90. Well, watch this space. Anyway, never mind. If that's the shelf life they've given me, I'll live with that until I get to 90. But the key thing is get out there. I have now got to be seen and I've got to be heard, and I've had to come to terms with that.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Christine.
So, Martin,
Continually evolving.
whatever I can do, the Chelsea Flash, I've only been twice. The second time it rained and it was an absolute mud bath. But the flowers didn't diminish. We got wet as people, well, tough. You had people going around with bin bags on them in their courtier dresses and their posh hats and everything. It was hysterical. But please,
Yeah, I think that would be so cool. I can imagine you with someone doing a whole bunch of displays behind you and costume and flowers, and I just see a whole parade behind you. And
I
grand opening, the queen is here, the queen of the
Ta-da.
flower. She has some seeds for you, and here are the seeds. Here's my book. Here are the seeds. All this knowledge you have, and
Well,
you
look,
are perfect for it.
you'll just keep it flowing. The key thing I haven't shared with you is during my travels, I went to Sedona, and I was asked to go and see Ray Manygoats. And Ray Manygoat said, "You're a medicine woman." And he's done a drawing for me. And I'm in a teepee, and people come to visit me. And I send out two medicine birds. One is the left brain, one is the right brain, to do your research. So I can converse with logic, because often men need logic. They don't want flowers. They want, what do you base your opinion on? How do you prove it? I work with engineers at Nissan, and haven't got my two cards, Lydia. Did I send them to you?
Which cards?
Oh, hold on, just one sec.
Yeah, sure. And Joanne, you wanted to share while Christina's getting something?
Well, it's just interesting about the universe and how it's influenced me, and I'm realizing now more than ever from my early childhood, first 12 years, my parents were married, fighting. There was a divorce. My grandparents got divorced. And with me, I always, my grandmother became a teacher during the First World War. They pulled them out of grade 12, she and her twin sister. So she and my grandfather broke up, if you can imagine, she went back to teaching. And my mother, with very little education, she had to raise three girls and work at three jobs, ended up driving a Volvo and buying another cottage. And I knew at that young age, I was going to always be able to support my family if anything happened in my future, support myself, support my family. I knew I wanted to go into medicine, but that didn't work. But I also knew I wanted to teach, because I could have that security. And I also had the left brain, or right, with the music. I was musical and I could sing. And I moved forward with all of that without any support, no encouragement. I had to repeat grade 13 few subjects and speak to my French teacher and say, all I need is a 6th junior class and I can get into teacher's college. She gave it to me. And when I think about that and my journey, nobody gave me money for teacher's college. This guidance counselor said you can get a loan and a grant from the government. And he helped me with that. So I went. I don't know. It was just a part of me. My sister said, how did you do that? Well, clearly it was the universe and my gifts that I was able to see that future. And I was very successfully. So I feel that I'm realizing how influenced I was by the universe. And so it's kind of emotional when I think about it.
The trust, I mean, we're talking about trust, and I think we've been so battered by people who have lied. What is the truth? The youngsters today, how do they differentiate between fact and fiction? They're being manipulated, and often they're in isolation. And that worries me, because they're tied to these bits of gadgets. They, with COVID, have no interpersonal opportunities. You don't have a punch up with somebody and make up afterwards. It becomes vicious, and there's no redress when you put something up on social media. It is absolutely without any vetting. It's a lethal tool that can destroy youngsters, as far as I'm concerned. Now, for me, then, the next 5 years, this year is still prep, right? Martin, I'm going to take you up on that. When is the Chelsea Flower Show? Because I've got to get my hat. I mean, come on. I've got to have dandelions in there somewhere. Sorry. You know, that's not a weed. That is a work of art. Right. Can I just thank you honestly, Lydia? I've thoroughly enjoyed having my moments of exposure, if you like. But I do want to show you, I was asked to go into a car manufacturers, Japanese car manufacturers. Now, I love going into engineers, and I'm not a womansy lady. My dad was in the army. I grew up around men, basically. And I have been the bridge, if you like, to allow men to express their emotions in a safe environment, and virtually own a little bit more of stuff that's been repressed within them, because they've had taught role models of what you can and can't do is not very clever. So I've been fortunate. I mean, I've worked with a company called Arup, which is one of the big consultancy firms. I've been to Rome, I've been to Moscow. I've worked all over with them, loving it because they have the total concept from an architect through to actually, you know, what's in Sydney Opera House. Their projects, and you don't see Arup being advertised. They just quietly get on with it. And my last work was actually working very much with the fabulous people in Berlin. And of course, then we went and came out of something called whatever it was, EU. And I flew back on the 19th of December thinking, this is the end of an era. Collaboration now, how are we going to maintain it? It's not good. Can I just show you how I got through to the engineer brain?
Yes, 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 we
the
love
woman-
this. We love this.
The woman decided, she came in as a lady. They didn't have train. They had, what do they call them? Oh, some posh name. It was learning something or other. You didn't have, I can't even remember. It was so convoluted. It sounded impressive, but I didn't quite know what it meant. But she decided that they were taking engineers and promoting them with no people skills. And she wanted somebody to go in, and they called it what, personal development. Well, you can imagine they thought that was hysterical. Yeah, we'll come along with our dumbbells to this stupid woman going to tell us to do group hugs and all the rest of it, rubbish stuff. So I had a very hostile audience, who were going to have to donate 2 days of their precious time. They were doing big project work, for goodness sake, you know, to take it out, to be trapped with me. And I thought, I've got to get their attention very quickly. And that's what I love to do. I like to do something totally unusual. So I developed these cards. Can you see this card? I don't know.
Yeah, if you hold, yeah, there, we can see it there. I can see it there. Yeah, these
Yeah.
cards.
Probably
Oh, I love
back to
this.
Okay. Now what you've got there are 2 circles, and I have to be neutral within. It's up to the light. I have to be neutral within both. Right, so as a facilitator, you don't take sides. So if you look at one half as the top management, now I've got to work with the engineers to deliver. So I am the conduit, if you like. And this energy has to flow with me being impartial in both camps. Now, the thick bars or the thin bars, if you show that to an engineer, they'll see that as energy. Right, so you have high energy, you have voltage, you have low energy. If you show it to HR, they see it strong personality. They go into personality types and try to label you. I've always been fighting that sort of, we know who you are, Christine, like how you do. Chameleon, I can change and shift shape. Thank you very much. Don't put me in a box. But the key thing is, if you're going to seek allies, not opponents, there's another point of view. So if you put that against another card, and I got the engineer up who really looked as if he was going to be the most troublesome, you know, the one who's looking at their watch and you haven't even started, who's looking out the window, is having a bit of a tantrum there. So got him out and asked him to say which card is the bigger. And being an engineer, he said they're the same. I said, well, we know they're the same. That's not what I'm asking you. Which one looks the bigger? Because it's all about perception. Well, this one. Okay. So here I am. It's taken me 2 years to get into this company. I've been vetted. You can't put a light bulb on one of their cars without having at least 3 different suppliers. Go for it. Okay. So I've got through that. Now, which card looks the bigger? This one. Okay. And that's you. So am I going to try and tell you how to do your job as an engineer? I wouldn't insult you. But what we've got to do, we've got to make the movement to understand, and it's balancing. Do you see they look the same now? They're touch points. There'll always be that gap. We're not each other, but we have to start with a common aim. And if we don't have that common aim, we're wasting each other's time. So these cards have been all around the world. I don't need language. I was talking in Novosibirsk in Siberia, and I had some financial guy being dragged along by his wife. And anyway, that hooked him. If I'm going anywhere, there's another point of view. I'm going to ask you very quickly, what animal do you see? I'm going to give you some words. Long nose, big furry ears. What do you see? Quick, quick, quick. Don't. Long nose, big furry ears. What do you see first?
Joanne, what do you see?
Retriever.
A what?
A golden retriever.
Oh, a
Dog.
lovely dog. Yeah, who else? Come on.
For some reason, I'm seeing a parrot, but that doesn't really fit the description. That's sort of what I'm seeing.
Bear.
There, okay. We go from someone who's an elephant who tries to be all-encompassing, right? And then you go, when you're working with engineers, you go into terminology, but it's a trunk. It's not a nose, right? It hasn't got hair. And I always remember we had one group where this guy came out and he was older than all the others. And he wasn't getting the respect he deserved, actually. You know, you're out of date, blah, blah, blah kind of stuff. And he came up with an elephant. And they said, but it doesn't have hair. And he clowned up. He said, yeah, but I remember the days when the mammoths roamed the earth. And I thought, yes, you got it. It was brilliant. You know, they had hair then. And, you know, there are people that have been buried in the Ice Age. And, you know, we need to winkle them out because their knowledge isn't phenomenal that they can share. We go around in circles. We like to think it's a new path. We constantly reinvent. We give it different fancy names. We then have consultancy firms that come in and charge you a fortune. I love the thing about a consultancy firm comes in with a watch, sets it all up, but it only works when they wind it. So you have to keep getting them back in again because it doesn't work without them. Anyway, look, I could keep you here for months. You've gathered that I love sharing. I think we've scratched the surface. And I hope this won't be our last encounter.
I would love for you to come back. Well,
Martin, what are you doing?
That's Martin. Martin has a question, and Christine's going to be our life coach, so to keep us on track.
He's
Martin,
doing a dibble. What are you doing?
Okay, May 20th is the opening. 20th is the opening.
10th May.
The garden show.
Then?
Yeah, so get on that and get back to us on your
So what do you look? Because one of the decisions I had to make with COVID, I had a husband who wasn't a very good passenger. So if we went anywhere, he drove. And after Colin died so unexpectedly, that was pretty grim. I decided that the money that was wrapped up in the cars that we had was going to go into a taxi fund. And I've got this incredible Sierra Leonean minder, I can't describe it any other way, who takes me wherever I want to go. So I use that as a fund. Now he when he first started his business, I called him a scruffy git because he didn't know how to dress. He now has his own limited company. He's got 3 drivers working for him. He's immaculate. He paid 400 quid for a pair of shoes. I said, look, you're really going a bit over the top here, mate. And he said, well, you told me I had to look dapper. So I said, yeah, but, you know, come on. 400 quid. No, he said, these shoes, I feel good when I have them on. They take me places. Right. So do you see, we sometimes put a monetary worth on something that doesn't cost a lot, but means a lot, or something that costs a lot and means even more if it's done properly. Right, Martin, you're going to have to, you've got my email, have you? cmarsh@primeobjectives.com.
Well, while we're doing
So
that,
not going to let
Christine,
me.
yeah, sorry, while we're doing that, let everybody know how they can get in touch with you, your website, buy your book, follow you, all the incredible things you're doing. How can our viewers get in touch with you or follow you?
Well, at the moment, the website's just being revamped. It's www.thechristinemarsh.com. I don't think the world could cope with more than one of me. That's what I've decided. So it's the Christine Marsh. That's the website. The blog has been called Tisme blog. In other words, it's not AI generated, it's my ramblings. And there's all sorts of things there, like the balancing act between return on investment and then return on your energy.